Hello, I thought while I was doing my makeup, I'd do an assumptions about geography at university versus what it's actually really like. Tie my hair up, so I don't want it to go everywhere. So first of all, I'd say that geography at university is literally so different from geography at school. Like, you really can't compare them. At school, I was doing things like oxbow lakes and rivers and beaches, and then occasionally I'd do case studies, and I thought that was what like human geography was, the case study part of like flooding in Bangladesh for the people. And then by A level you start doing more globalization and things like that, but you're still doing case studies, looking in depth at separate locations and what's going on, I don't know, Haiti versus what's going on in London, and comparing cities. And that was the first impression I've got of geography. And when I was deciding to do it at university, it was a toss-up between geography and economics, because although I really liked globalization and all that in geography, in economics I loved all the stuff about the economy, and essentially the more human side of the geography was the same. I was literally doing the same stuff as in economics. But in economics, obviously, it was more economy centred. Anyway, so then I started looking at courses at university. And you could choose, if you're doing geography, you can choose, in most places, you have to choose between physical or human. So Exeter, Durham, where else? Most places, like 9 out of 10 places, you have to choose if you're a physical or human geographer. And when I was looking, I really didn't know what I was, because I thought they were both quite interesting. I liked all the case studies to do with physical geography, learning about the people who are affected by the natural hazards, but then I also liked the human side, like globalization, what's going on in the world around me. And then I noticed that, so I think, so UCAS you choose 5, and I think for 3 of them I did 2 human, 1 physical. And then Bristol, you can do them both combined. So in your first year, you do both human and physical, and then you can specialise as you go through. And for me, I was like, oh, that's perfect, because I don't know which one I want to do. So if I can do both, then I can decide what I like more and then go from there. Because obviously at school, you don't know what it's going to be like at university. And actually, oh, I just need a brush. Got it. And in hindsight, I'm so pleased I did that, because I really didn't understand what geography was going to be like at university compared to school. So at university, physical geographer is to do physical geography, it's actually really science-based. So in first year, I struggled with physical geography because I hadn't done chemistry, biology, physics. I mean, they weren't like fundamental, but it did in first year, but it did help if you had some like backing. I think there was only one module that we were doing like redox reactions and stuff, which obviously I hadn't done since GCSE. So it was a bit harder, but you could pick it up, so it was fine. But that's actually why I then specialised more human as I went through, because I just didn't have that physical backing, the scientific backing that you need. I did AS, so my A levels were economics, maths, AS maths, RS and geography. Whereas the people doing the course, you had a range, so you had people. One of my friends did all sciences, lots of my friends did humanities, like it really ranges. So first year physical was fine, I could get through it, but I didn't realise how scientific it was going to be. You're not doing like, how does an oxbow lake form? You're literally doing, what are the chemicals in the sea? What are the organisms in the sea which are creating life? We were doing, what's the nitrogen cycle? Like, how does it work? What are the reactions going on? So that's, which is obviously so different from going, who are the people affected by this natural hazard? Like, what are the 2 case studies? What's the difference between the UV eruption, I think that's how you say it, or this eruption, blah, 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 blah. So for me, that was the biggest difference between physical geography at school. And I know as my friends went along with physical, it becomes obviously more and more scientific, and you're doing stuff like looking at algae in depth, looking at the photosynthesis in algae, or looking at you're looking at glaciers, but you're looking at the bacteria in a glacier. Like, it gets very, very scientific and sciencey. Well, I know this for a fact at Bristol. Obviously, I can't necessarily speak on all universities. You have to do your research into each one. But for human, so first year human, you did a cultural unit, you did economic, development, historical geography, which was London in the early 18th century. What else did we do? We did stuff like philosophical stuff like nature, place and time. Like, it's not at school when you do globalisation and like, oh, the TNCs, blah, 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 all that kind of stuff. We were doing, so historical geography, I was doing about London as a medieval city. How do people find belonging in a city like that? When did place names be put in? Actually, lots of people didn't like that unit, but I really, really liked it. I thought it was fantastic. But we were also doing stuff like walking through a city. What does it feel like to walk through a city? How do your footsteps change the city around you? Like, really philosophical things. There was lots on gender. So what's gender? What's the difference between gender and sexuality? That was a big, they loved that in Bristol. So we did a lot of that in first year. And then in first year, you also, at Bristol, you do spatial modelling, which is computing. So we're doing programming. And that sounds difficult, but actually, I didn't think that was too bad. It's not like, you're doing it with all your friends. It's not the make or break. Like, it's fine. You get through it, and it's not a big deal. And then second year, obviously, you specialise a bit more. So I did 2 human, 1 physical, and I did rivers for my physical, and then I did philosophy for my human, and I did economics, like economic development. I can't remember the exact name for my second human. So in philosophy, we were literally doing philosophers. We're doing Butler, Foucault, all the philosophers, what are their theories. Like, I can't think of anything spatial about the philosophers. And the rivers, we were doing river modelling. So and then my dissertation was on science fiction film. So if you're thinking about doing geography at university, just really, really research the modules that they do, because it varies so much depending which university you go to, and geography is so different from school. When I'm describing it to people, because everyone always cracks the jokes like, oh, you know, what's the biggest mountain range? I'm like, I don't know. Like, I do human geography. So my tip is to, like, check out the courses, because they're all so different, and geography is so different at university. I describe it to people as like, you know, you have that drawer at home. People tend to call it the man drawer, where you just put everything that you don't know where it belongs. Like, you just kind of jump all in there. It's a mishmash, but like, it goes together because it's lost. That's how I just describe geography as a degree. Like, it literally could be anything you want, like, depending where you are and what modules you choose. So I hope this is helpful. I'm trying to do my makeup, actually. If you have any more questions about university or geography specifically, then pop me a message.